Have you ever been inside a massive shopping mall right after the doors lock and the lights finally go out? I mean, really think about it for a second. These places, they're literally built to handle thousands of people, right? Bright lights, constant noise, endless energy. But when all of that just vanishes, what's actually left behind in the shadows? Okay, let's dive into this. In this explainer, we're unpacking 3 deeply disturbing, entirely true mall horror stories. And trust me, these accounts perfectly capture why massive, empty retail spaces are absolute nightmare fuel. Section 1, the empty mall. This is the setup for everything we're looking at today. We're going to see exactly what happens when the ordinary becomes utterly terrifying just by taking the crowds away. So, what does this all mean? Well, there's a term for why this is so unsettling: liminal space. It's basically that eerie, skin-crawling feeling you get when you're standing in a traditionally crowded place like a shopping mall, and it is completely dead empty. A mall without shoppers isn't just quiet, it feels fundamentally wrong. It's like a giant puzzle with half the pieces missing. And as we're gonna see from our sources today, that wrongness can sometimes hide some very real danger. Moving into our first timeline, Section 2, the overnight security guard. So our guard starts his new job, and honestly, it's incredibly mundane. For the first 3 months, his whole routine is just driving around the parking lot, listening to the radio, kicking out the occasional skateboarder, and walking around inspecting pipes. You know, totally tame stuff. But here's the catch. That absolute boredom, it builds a very dangerous, false sense of security. Then, right around the 3-month mark, the tension totally spikes. He's doing his rounds and spots a light on inside an empty shop, but the security gate is locked tight. A little later, he finds another shop light on, gate also locked. Weird, right? But then, moments later, he hears a distinct click from right behind him. He turns, and the first shop's light is suddenly off, and he swears, he absolutely swears, he sees a shadow duck behind the counter. Now, to be fair, the guy was running on like 3 hours of sleep over the last 2 days, so he's desperately trying to rationalize this as sleep deprivation, just his mind playing tricks on him. But of course he has to be sure, so he calls out into the dark. He yells, "You can either leave with me or you can leave with the police." Nothing. Absolute silence. He walks up, shines his flashlight directly at the light switch, and no one is there. So he kind of chills his own spine by convincing himself it was just a shadow cast by a clothes rack. I mean, it's a pretty flimsy explanation, isn't it? But really, what else was he gonna do? He leaves the mall, definitely spooked, but eventually just brushes the whole thing off. Fast forward, we're now at his 1-year anniversary on the job. It's the dead of winter, 4 a.m. He's inside doing a routine pipe inspection and steps into a bathroom. And suddenly, a toilet flushes. Keep in mind, he is supposed to be the only living soul inside this massive building. And those toilets? Yeah, they're motion activated. Okay, so he's sitting in a stall, trying to keep his cool by watching a video on his phone, when he hears a little tap. He looks down to his left, and right there, he sees a pair of shoes pointing directly at his stall. Someone is standing right next to him. And then, he slowly looks up. Standing there, peering right over the top of the divider, is the tallest man he has ever seen in his life, just silently watching him in the dead of night. Absolutely terrifying. The second this impossibly tall guy realizes he's been spotted, he just ducks down. The guard, whose heart is probably pounding out of his chest at this point, leaps up and violently kicks open the door to that neighboring stall. But incredibly, it's empty. Completely empty. The only thing left behind are those shoes just sitting in the exact same spot on the tile floor. Needless to say, our guy literally sprinted to his car at 4 a.m. Let's shift gears to a completely derelict setting. Section 3, the abandoned rolling acres. The setup for this one is pretty much an urban explorer's worst nightmare. It's 11 p.m. on a random Wednesday night at the infamous, entirely abandoned Rolling Acres Mall in Akron, Ohio. The narrator and his buddy Jake managed to sneak in through a jammed door. And guys, it is pitch black, like the kind of heavy, suffocating darkness that just swallows you whole. They actually had to switch off their flashlights for a second just to comprehend how terrifyingly dark an abandoned mega mall actually is. And this brilliantly illustrates how quickly things go south. They climb up a broken escalator to the second level. Soon after, they hear a loud bang echoing from further down the corridor. Hoping it's just some other teenagers goofing off, they wisely start moving in the exact opposite direction. But then, right near the old JCPenney, they hear another bang, only this one is much louder and way closer. Totally panicked, they immediately kill their flashlight so they won't be spotted by whoever or whatever is in there with them. So they're creeping along in total darkness, trying to put some distance between them and that sound. Suddenly, the narrator hears this muffled noise from just ahead of him. Just a soft psst. He instantly assumes it's his friend Jake, trying to call him forward in the dark. So he follows the sound, whispering back, asking which way they should go next. But Jake doesn't answer. The narrator reaches out his hand in the pitch black, just feeling around for his friend. He grabs a shoulder, but right away, something is deeply, terribly wrong. He was expecting to feel the familiar fabric of Jake's coat, right? Instead, his hand touches this unfamiliar, completely different jacket material. Panic sets in. He flicks his flashlight back on and finds himself gripping the shoulder of a tall man wearing a beanie and a face mask. Without missing a beat, this masked stranger grabs the narrator in a brutal headlock, trying to literally drag him away into the dark. But out of nowhere, the real Jake comes flying out of the blackness and lands one clean, desperate punch right square in the man's face. The attacker stumbles, letting go just long enough for the two boys to sprint blindly out of that mall, tearing across the empty parking lot. They didn't even stop to catch a breath until they had the car doors locked. Okay, let's move to our final story and see how this builds in a really claustrophobic space. Section 4, the late night shift. We're looking at a 24/7 general store that is actually located inside a shopping mall in South Carolina. Now, the main mall shuts down at 9:30 p.m. When that happens, the store worker pulls down this heavy metal security gate that separates their brightly lit store from the dark, cavernous, empty hallways of the mall. There's only one other way in, which is a back door for late-night street customers. Usually, these deep night hours are completely dead, right? The worker just peacefully organizes shelves and kills time. But one night, that peaceful routine totally shatters. 9:30 rolls around, the gate comes down. Sometime in the middle of the shift, the worker suddenly hears this violent rattling coming from the metal cage. A man is standing on the other side, just violently shaking the gate. But here's the weird part. He isn't looking at the worker at all. He is staring straight up at the ceiling. The worker has no idea how to contact mall security, so they just try to ignore him. Eventually, the guy leaves, but later on, that back door of the store slides open. A customer has walked in. The worker finishes sweeping up, bends down under the counter to put the dustpan away, and stands back up to say hello. And their stomach completely drops. The guy standing dead silent at the end of the alcohol aisle, it's the exact same man who was shaking the gate earlier, except now he has completely taken off his dirty plaid shirt. The worker just freezes, staring at him, and the man stares right back. But it's the expression on his face that takes this to a whole new level of nope. The worker later described it as not a grin, but a wide-lipped smile. It wasn't friendly. It was a look of pure, unadulterated horror. It literally froze the worker in absolute terror. They stood there, locked in this nightmarish staring contest for 30 agonizing seconds. Finally, the workers' survival instincts kick into high gear. They stammer out some fake threat about calling the cops, bolt into the back room, and lock the heavy door behind them. They're frantically trying to dial their manager, but nobody's picking up. And then, in the suffocating, dead silence of that back room, they hear it, right at the door. Not a knock, just a very, very gentle tap. The worker cowers in that back room for 5 straight minutes, utterly convinced they're about to be attacked. Eventually, the man just steps back outside and vanishes into the night. But if you think this was just paranoia or a trick of the mind, think again. The store's security cameras caught the entire bizarre, silent encounter on tape. The whole shebang. Yeah, understandably, the worker handed in their notice and quit just a month later. So, the next time you find yourself wandering through a brightly lit, super crowded shopping mall surrounded by all that noise and life, I really want you to ask yourself a very simple question. When the music finally stops, the lights click off, and those massive glass doors finally lock, who exactly is waiting in the dark?